two members being the leader of the opposition, Alan Chasney, who continued to remain as the political leader of the United Workers' Party, as well as Mr. The Honorable Bradley Felix, holding on to the Shrosel Saltibus seat. We, of course, as I said, are about a year away from that 5th year anniversary of that poll, and which would generally mean that we're in about a year away from a likely general election here in St. Lucia. Of course, it can be called at any time, and we have seen in the past polls being called about in 4.5 years, even 4 years, in different instances. As whether it actually has worked out to the benefit of the parties, that's questionable. Back in the year 2016, poll that was called around 4.5 years in by Dr. Kenny Anthony did not result in a positive victory for the Labour Party then, which in fact was won by Mr. Alan Chasney, coming in on a platform of tax cuts, the, of course, famous 5 to Stay Alive program that had been put forward, which proposed the elimination of what was termed the dreaded value-added tax. Of course, we are now seeing as well rise in the number of female candidates on both sides of the political fence here in St. Lucia. We are one country that has not yet had a female head of government. We've had a female head of state, yes, but not a female head of government. And generally speaking, the numbers of females putting themselves up for elective politics has certainly been in the minority. In the case of the United Workers' Party, thus far, they have put forward Mrs. Marcella Johnson, who hopes to go up against Mr. Kenson Kazemi, the current Member of Parliament for Grosele. They have also put forward Mrs. Laura Japierre, and she is looking to unseat the individual who's held that seat for quite a number of years now, that of the Honorable Alva Baptiste in the what is tended to be seen as a stronghold seat of the St. Lucia Labour Party, that of Labrie Auger. And also heading in for the constituency of Vieux-Fort South, the candidate there, Lady Lee, as she is known, but more proper name, Mrs. Liana Johannes Paul, is looking to go up against a newcomer to that seat as well. Of course, that seat being held for many years, since 1997, by Dr. Kenny Anthony, has indicated that he is bowing out of retiring from elective politics here in St. Lucia, and that seat to be run by Mr. Danny Butcher for the St. Lucia Labour Party. Well, just yesterday, in fact last week, we saw the announcement for the constituency of Castries South East being made by the St. Lucia Labour Party. That candidate, Senator Lisa Jawahir, throwing her hat into the race, looking to represent that constituency, which is currently held by the St. Lucia Labour Party, and that is Honorable Joachim Henry, also bowing out at this point to allow for Senator Jawahir to in fact contest against the deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Guy Joseph. And of course, a very interesting contest, no doubt, in that constituency. It had been held for a number of cycles by Mr. Joseph. I think as far back as 2006, he was able to win coming in. on the platform of then party leader Sir John Compton, who made a return to politics in 2006 with Mr. Joseph on board, and he won again in 2011, serving in the opposition bench at that point, and also won in 2016. And of course, those 3 terms came to an end in 2021 when he was defeated by the SLP candidate, Mr. Henry. And I think a pretty good margin as well, over 400 votes in that constituency. But Lisa Jawa here is putting her hat in the ring at this point into the race, and we will have to see how that pans out with Mr. Joseph, the deputy leader, going up against a female candidate. But the St. Lucia Labour Party has also chosen to send up a female candidate against the political leader of the United Workers' Party in the seat of Miku South. Generally has seen to be a stronghold of the United Workers' Party, only once being lost by that party since that seat was created back in 1974. Eventually it was split into 4, with Miku South being formed, and it was only Mr. Cassius Elias who was able to bring victory for the St. Lucia Labour Party in that constituency back in the year 1997, I believe. It'll be very interesting to see how this seat unravels, because, of course, in the case of Miku North, the United Workers' Party allowed that seat to slip from its hands. It was one of those that had never been lost, and that loss, in fact, came with that landslide in 2021, in which we saw the rise of the Honorable Mr. Jeremiah Norbert into that constituency. Well, a decision being taken by the St. Lucia Labour Party, and they announced it today on the eve of their 4th year anniversary, and that is that Dr. Shanda Lee Harak Singh will be their candidate for the constituency of Miku South. And just to read that press statement coming from the SLP, it reads as follows. It is with much pride that the St. Lucia Labour Party announces that it has endorsed Dr. Shanda Lee Harak Singh as its candidate for the Miku South constituency in the next general election, constitutionally due by July 2026. Dr. Harak Singh, born 1976, is from Deriso in Miku South, and is currently the District Medical Officer for Region 4, which includes the communities of Deriso, Tiroshe, Miku, and Monrepo. I suppose it should also say Blanchard. Prior to this, she served at the then Victoria Hospital in Castries, now the Betty Wells Urban Polyclinic. She obtained her medical degree from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, Barbados, and subsequently worked at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in that country. She also holds a bachelor's degree in biochemistry from the Royal Holloway University in London in the United Kingdom. The St. Lucia Labour Party wishes to thank the other 2 persons who participated in the candidate selection process in Miku South, Messieurs Callas Monchery and Gregory Sertange, for their commitment to and continued support for the cause of the St. Lucia Labour Party and the people of Miku South. The SLP congratulates Dr. Shanda Lee Harak Singh on her selection as its candidate for Miku South, and welcomes her dedication to the people of the constituency and to effecting the necessary change in parliamentary representation in Micoud South. That press release dated today, July the 25th, 2025, and effectively meaning that another female candidate is entering the race for elective politics here in St. Lucia. And this time, interestingly enough, in Micoud South and in Castries Southeast, we are seeing two young females who will be going up against the political leadership of the United Workers' Party in the persons of Mr. Alan Chasney and Mr. Guy Joseph. Certainly a very interesting state of play, especially in the case of Micoud South. It is an interesting constituency, as I said, which has been won in the past by the St. Lucia Labour Party, albeit once, a good number of years ago. And of course, Dr. Harraxing would be going up against a political leader of a party. And it doesn't always mean that once you're a political leader that you will win your seat. And in fact, we did see over in the recent general elections in Canada, Mr. Pierre Poilievre losing his riding in the Ottawa area, being defeated there, and effectively, although he was the political leader of the Conservatives, did not have a seat in the federal parliament, and certainly a very interesting state of play, to the extent that the current Prime Minister, Mr. Mark Carney, was in fact kind or generous enough to effect a by-election in I think in a seat somewhere in Alberta, so as to allow for Mr. Carney to potentially get elected in that constituency. So very, very interesting situations sometimes do arise where the leaders of parties get thrown out in elections that they end up losing. So as to whether this is going to be the outcome whenever that election is called, we will have to, of course, wait to see. But very, very interesting situation indeed, and perhaps certainly a signal that the St. Lucia Labour Party is very eagerly eyeing that seat of Micoud South. Of course, in the case of Mr. Chasney, he does not quite have a natural affinity to the seat of Micoud by way of any sort of close family connections, nor does he live in the constituency. That tends to be what individuals try to gain in terms of constituencies. They tend to look for areas where they can they have some sort of connection or relationship in, by virtue of they coming from that constituency. And that's quite often the case that we've seen in many instances. For example, in the case of Mr. Joseph, he's from the constituency of Castries Southeast. Likewise, that of Senator Jawa here, coming from the constituency. Grosley is a bit of an interesting one, a very mixed bag, with a constituency that has lots of people who have, in fact, moved into that constituency over the some years now, a couple of decades now. And so the overall, there hasn't been a very defined grouping from Grosley, which is for a very long time. But even in the case of Mr. Kazimi, he in fact comes from a family with strong ties in the town of Grosley, as well as in the Grand Riviere area. So generally speaking, people would want to see a representative who in good ways sort of identifies with that with the constituency that they in fact are going to represent or putting themselves up to represent. It will be, of course, interesting to see in this instance how that matter pans out with respect to Miku South. Of course, the fact that she is a medical doctor is going to be pretty interesting. We have seen challenges with our healthcare system, which goes back quite a while. And we have seen some doctors put themselves up for the runnings, medical doctors, that is, over the years. Dr. Ulrich Mondesi, in the case of VA4 South, we've seen Dr. Keith Mondesi, who's put himself up in the seat of Ancillary Canneries. In the last general election, we had a potential hopeful in the person of Dr. Alphonsus Ray St. Rose, who was interested in the seat of Choiseul Saltibus. And so in this instance, Dr. Harak Singh coming in certainly is coming in with a special skill set, which could potentially bode well in terms of the representation of the interest of the health sector in St. Lucia. And especially as we've seen so much emphasis over the issue of St. Jude Hospital, that hospital effectively serving the southern region of St. Lucia from Dennery right across to Soufrière. Nearly 70,000 persons look to that facility, and we've seen the challenges with it over the years and the challenges with healthcare in the south of the island. Certainly, I think some good perspectives could be shared, hopefully by her, in that regard, if in fact she is successful in unseating the opposition leader, Mr. Chasney. So certainly we'll have to wait to see how that particular constituency pans out in the politics and the political campaign to come. Some people may very early sort of dismiss it, that this is a seat that is a UWP stronghold. Well, we have to look at the data, I suppose, to see if that is in fact the case. It did hold on for the United Workers' Party in the last general election, but I think he did see a bit of a decline in the numbers there. So very interesting indeed. Let's also wait to see how other constituencies also continue to pan out. I believe, for the most part, the United Workers' Party has announced its full slate. I think with the exception officially of announcing that of the constituency of Babono. They have not yet officially announced a candidate there, although there is an individual who seems to be names of flyers are floating around, and it's quite likely that they will be announcing such a candidate pretty soon. And so, of course, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Lots of new candidates, and that's always a good thing for politics. It's always good to be seeing some fresher faces, some new faces, and so that there is a good balance between, continuity as well as fresh ideas, fresh perspectives coming in, fresh thinking coming in to the mix as well. So let's hope that we can see a good opportunity for St. Lucia to be able to have good options when it comes to the candidates who are putting themselves up. And of course, the other reality that still remains is that we only get one vote. There is no two-tier system. You are not, you don't have a separate vote for your local and your national. You don't have a choice between selecting your candidate and selecting the leader of the country or the prime minister. That one vote that you have for your candidate effectively is what you have, and by virtue of that vote for the candidate, you are that candidate is effectively a surrogate for the selection of the leader. For all intents and purposes, that is how our system of government works right now. The politics effectively enshrines it that way, that we don't have a vote for the political leader of one party or another. And of course, we do know the realities of how critical the selection of the leader is within our Westminster Whitehall system of government here in St. Lucia. The Prime Minister is a bit more than primus inter pares. In fact, he holds, or he or she holds, a considerable amount of power and influence over decision making. And of course, that is certainly a very important aspect. So, in as much as we will be seeing the contest between the particular candidates, no doubt we will also be seeing a contest also being played out right now with respect to the leadership of the various political parties, and of course, who becomes the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia once that election is in fact called. If we, of course, listen to a lot of the banter on right now, we see quite a lot is being made of the leaders, and never mind whoever might have made the decision at the local point, the buck stops with the leader, the Prime Minister. And that is, of course, where a lot of pressure is being placed on the respective political leaders, Mr. Chasney and Mr. Pierre, of the United Workers' Party and St. Lucia Labour Party, respectively. That's our dish of the day. And, of course, when we come back, we'll take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Did all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Jough Grosile, and Flax Street in Vieux-Fort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Vieux-Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, to the 1.1. It's now time for your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from between the east and east-northeast near 22 miles per hour or 35 kilometers per hour with gusts and near showers. The weather partly cloudy and hazy with a few showers at first, becoming increasingly cloudy from tonight with showers and isolated thunderstorms. The forecast for Los Angeles is partly cloudy and hazy with some scattered showers at first, becoming increasingly cloudy from tonight with showers and isolated thunderstorms. And the tropical weather outlook, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate moderate to brisk easterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region during the forecast period. A tropical wave located about 250 miles east of the Lesser Antilles is expected to affect the region from tonight into Saturday. This wave is moving quickly westward near 26 miles per hour or 43 kilometers per hour. Two other tropical waves located over the central and eastern tropical Atlantic are moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is all expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this was your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. We've got about 22 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. Of course, the number to call in, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also call in to our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, I think we've got a call coming in on the line, so we're just going to go straight to take in that caller, first caller for the day. Good afternoon, caller. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
And what's on your plate today?
What's on my plate today? Not much, but I'm sorry to say it. The Labour Party will beat the UWP by a whitewash. There will be a whitewash.
A whitewash, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a whitewash.
And why do you think that?
Well, everything going right, and the majority of the people can hate in the mouth. This government is doing good. It's a good government we have there. We don't have to do nothing much, but just vote them back. And anybody make a mistake, the pension is already there for Christmas. So if they go and make any mistake, they will lose the pension. Again.
You
That's
think?
the opposition going out this time. Those people won't stand for no nonsense in what Miku North, South.
So you actually think that the opposition leader, Mr. Chasney, is going to lose his seat?
He's going to lose. People not stupid. They can see what's going on. All the hassle and everything going on in Parliament. He's going to lose his seat. Bradley Phillips going to lose. And there's only two there. And the rest of them, they go nowhere. They go nowhere. And the election we call early as well. All the government is waiting for to move the people from the George Odlum Stadium to the St. Jude, and the election will.
Well, interesting predictions from you, caller. I will have
they
to.
Know me. is a real prediction that. So anybody who don't want pension, go and vote Shasney. But the pension is already there.
Well,
the pension is there ready for Christmas.
Well, that's an interesting view. But I suppose that will certainly might be an important factor for persons who are pensioners. But then let's not forget that there are a lot of other people out there in the population. You've got a lot of young people. You've got a lot of people.
They get pay rise. It never be so good for people in this country. Under this government, Philip Pierre, never. But something I want to tell you, Mr. George.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah. My nephew, Barrel, and a washing.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I just heard something about nephew and barrel.
A barrel and a washing machine from England in June, and the container get here, and it's on the wharf, and he spent almost a month here, and he couldn't go and he couldn't get his barrel and the washing machine. Right now, Plasper is calling the agent in England to pay the waiting time. When is Plasper the drivers that went on strike? And those things stay there. They haven't opened from June. They haven't opened that container when this thing is, but they asking for more money now, waiting time money, for them to get this thing. So they call England not paying not a penny more, not a penny, not a farthing, because it's the drivers that went on strike and preventing the thing from reaching the people.
I don't understand completely the details that you're talking about, because I mean, I do know about the strike, of course, and I didn't.
Yeah, there was the strike,
and
it's the strike that prevent them from opening the container, and that container haven't opened yet.
Okay.
He come down here. He spent almost a month here. He go back.
Right.
He couldn't get this thing off.
Wow. Well, that's very, very unfortunate for sure. So but I don't understand the part about somebody else paying in the UK. I mean, that's
no, the agent that shipped the agent that shipped the thing down.
Right.
It's Plasper want them to pay some waiting time or something. So they say to Plasper, is your driver that going on strike? Still there, you'll have an open it and asking for waiting time money, because when they send you a barrel, that barrel, once they tell you to come and claim it, you have to stay you have to come at the same time, because if you stay 2-3 days, they pay for it. Rental.
I know there's a rental charge when it goes over a particular amount of time, but I never thought that it was the company, overseas company, that would have to pay for it. It's normally the recipient.
Well, the way, I don't know why, because the shipping company in England said to Spaspa, we're not a penny more, that happens, because it's your people, your drivers that went on strike, and that container stay on the dock to today. The thing is inside it.
Well,
so
I really hope that
what Spaspa doing is because sometimes you have to be careful when they're doing those kind of things there. Yes, giving the country bad name. Good afternoon.
Okay, thanks very much for that call, caller. Have a good one, and do you enjoy your weekend, of course.
Yeah, okay.
All right, just to look back at the past two election results in the case of Micoud South, and back in the year 2016, when Mr. Shasney came in, or you'd recall that originally he ran for the Soufriere constituency was not successful in that 2011 general election in Soufrière. He was defeated then, and then he decided to run for the Micoud South constituency. Mr. Arsene James, who was the representative at the time, bowed out to, in fact, allow for Mr. Chasney to take up that seat. And he was able to win that seat by about 1,049 votes. In fact, getting up to 2,495 was his total in that poll. The St. Lucia Labour Party in that point was able to get 1,446 votes. In the 2021 general election, Mr. Chasney, in fact, saw a drop by nearly 200 votes in terms of his total number of votes. For him, he got 2,303 votes to Mr. Gibeon Ferdinand's 1,657. And so he, in fact, was able to win that seat, this time by a smaller margin of about 650 or so votes, 646 votes to be precise. So one certainly could see a slide in the number of votes for Mr. Chasney, but also a significant drop in it appears that Mr. Ferdinand picked up nearly 200 more votes from Mr. Chasney, and so that margin, the spread therefore was almost a drop of about 400 votes in that 2021 general election. So it'd be very interesting to see in a 2026 general election whether in fact there will be a potential continuation of a slide away from Mr. Chasney, because effectively, if the new candidate, Dr. Harrison, could maintain that 1657 and pull about 300 votes away from Mr. Chasney, she comes within a very, very close margin of potentially, possibly being able to actually win that seat. Very, very interesting dynamic there. But like I said, of course, the politics is a lot more complicated than that. You've got to be on the ground. You've got to have your ground game. You've got to certainly be looking at how things pan out in terms of the issues and what are the major issues still impacting individuals, their views. Of course, in the last period, one of the things that a lot of the opposition candidates between 2016 and 2021 were complaining about was the absence of any form of assistance coming from the government by way of the Constituency Development Program. And that CDP had first been established under the premiership of Prime Minister Stephenson King during his time as Prime Minister, and it was expanded by the Kenny Anthony administration. And so what we saw in that period, in the first instance, and Prime Minister King, so a lot of the resources going primarily to the United Workers' Party supporting constituencies, the ones that they held, and that tended to be that was certainly a major complaint that was raised during that time. And then we saw, and of course during that period too, remember there was the whole issue of the town and village councils, monies going into those entities, issues of lax controls, financial controls, that was subject to a report, in fact, looking into that entire money, that entire aspect, because a lot of that money coming from Taiwanese foreign aid was going into these entities and not very clear controls from the perspective of the Ministry of Finance. We then saw during that period of Dr. Anthony an increase in the amount of money generally being given. Normally it would have been about 17, 18 million. During that period of time, more was in fact provided, I think up to about 23 million or thereabouts. And in addition to that, there was an insistence and an assurance that all constituencies benefited from these funds. Now, we saw a reversal of that under Prime Minister Alan Shasney, where funds were not provided to the constituencies held by the opposition. And so effectively 6 constituencies did not benefit from the constituency development program between the years 2016 to 2021. Again, we have seen another Labour Party administration coming in and in fact providing assistance to those constituencies. Of course, we're still hearing haggling and complaints. I think from the Member of Parliament for Choiseul, Saltibus, in some instances saying that, he's not getting sufficient resources. As I'm sure all the representatives are probably claiming that they're not getting sufficient resources. It's always been a challenge with respect to sufficient resources for the CDP. But certainly, I think it would be impossible for Mr. Felix or Mr. Shasney to claim that they have not been able to benefit from the constituency development program in terms of projects for their constituencies. And it's one of those matters that I think certainly needs to be looked at, because really and truly there should be no reason why constituencies should suffer depending on whether or not they end up at the end of the day being represented by an opposition member of parliament. At the end of the day, in all constituencies, you have supporters of both parties. You have people who are citizens of the country, who should be able to get the kind of services and amenities as with any other citizen in the country. So it really is one of those matters that we need to say no to. Of course, it was that type of practice was coined by Dr. Kenny Anthony as the Belrose Doctrine because of some utterances made by the candidate going up against Mr. Pierre in the last election, effectively saying, that it was almost expected that if you need to vote for us for you to get the benefits. And at the end of the day, we can't really lead a country and run a country in that manner. One of the other areas where we've seen some changes in policy with respect to this administration and the past one was the matter of the distress fund. Now, that was a fund that had been set up by Dr. Kenny Anthony to be able to provide emergency assistance to households who were devastated in particular by fires. And a fire is one of the worst disasters that that could be met by a household because it effectively means that in many instances the entire building is destroyed, especially if you're talking about wooden structures. And it means that individuals are immediately left homeless. They now have to find somewhere else to stay. And they're now left, their shelter is now going to be, usually through the generosity and charity of some family member or some other person in the community to be able to provide that for them. And it's never a good situation because you're losing everything. You're losing not just your home, you're quite likely also losing all your possessions, your belongings, your appliances, clothing, documents. Everything is lost in a fire. And of course, we also know the reality that many of these homes did not have any kind of support by way of insurance, protection for in that way. And it was very difficult for them to be insured as well because of the fact that the way that it was structured, the materials used in the construction, very difficult to insure in some instances. So effectively, the distress fund was almost like an insurance fund for families who had to deal with the devastation of a fire, right? Of course, in other instances, like a hurricane, you may find that the government will have to come in and provide special assistance, and they do so through other catastrophic funds that are available that they've gotten into. But in the case of fires, nothing like that exists. And so the distress fund was effectively a response to that kind of situation. And of course, we heard what the response was, right? Well, this should not be about mendicants, and somehow we don't want to be able to provide this type of service because people should be able to get insurance. But anyways, that was the position of the current leader of the opposition, and so that distress fund was taken away. It was eliminated, and so it is one of those other actions that we have seen by the sitting government to be able to reintroduce that distress fund for the benefit of individuals as a bit of a security. So it's very consistent in terms of the kind of quite just last week, in fact, we saw some assistance coming in for parametric insurance for certain farmers in the producing musa, producing bananas and plantains and those types of crops, getting some protection, which had at one point in time had existed on the wind crop, but this kind of protection coming for them because those crops in particular are very much impacted by any strong winds and could very easily be lost, very fragile, if you would think of it in that sense, vulnerable. And so that, of course, is a really important response too. So certainly the role of government in providing protection and providing coverage, being that insurance in the case of when things go wrong, is certainly a really important aspect. And of course, that fund would have benefited all individuals who would have had those types of calamities being faced. Of course, no doubt we'll have to be continuing to see the pros and cons, the pluses and the minuses that we have witnessed over the past 4 years under this current administration of Philip J. Pierre, and to be able to see what the report card looks like. And perhaps that is something certainly we would like to take up in the coming week as we look at a number of the various initiatives and differences in approaches between the governments. Of course, no doubt one of the interesting ones that will be coming up very soon as of next week is that removal of VAT on a number of food items, additional food items, which currently are either VAT exempt or have VAT on them, and they're all going to be now 0 rated. So that's certainly a big deal for the suppliers, for the shops who are going to provide those goods, but also, of course, for the average consumer, hoping to see a reduction in the price of those food items. And of course, that is also coming on the heels of a continuation of the exemptions on building materials. And a number of building materials for the past couple of years have in fact been VAT-free. And we've heard just recently a continuation of that, an extension of that that provision into next year. So certainly good news for those who are looking to build, who are looking to expand, who are looking to do home renovations. And that, of course, is really important at this time. Already we're seeing quite a bit of construction in the private sector, but certainly in terms of home construction, always something that a number of people want to look forward to improve upon their homes and living conditions. That's the program for today here at the Lunchroom, and we do hope that you can join us again next week, Monday, for another one. In the meantime, do have yourself a very safe and blessed weekend.